Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Racer X Exhaust Podcast, brought to you by Yoshimura, 65 years of four-stroke research and development. So check them out, an all-new website, yoshimura-rd.com. They've got your four-stroke exhaust needs handled, be it for dirt or street. So thanks to Yoshimura, always backing the Exhaust Podcast. I'm Jason Wygant. This week, a double feature, 2 interviews, 2 Euro accents. It'll be your job to make sure you can understand what they're saying. Just hopefully nothing gets lost in translation. The first guest is David Vuillemin. Now, the great David Vuillemin is actually up there on the all-time list of best riders to not have a Premier Class Supercross championship. I know as soon as I say that, certain names come to mind. Damon Bradshaw, who heartbreakingly lost the 1992 Supercross championship. Brock Lover, who heartbreakingly lost the 1985 Supercross championship. Kevin Windham has always been good. Ezra Lusk. Those are great riders. I'll put Vuillemin right up there with most, though. During his prime, he was able to beat and run with Jeremy McGrath and Ricky Carmichael straight up. I mean, look up the 2002 Indianapolis Supercross. One of the best Supercross races ever, highly underrated. You had Travis Pastrana in the mix, battling for the win, which now we look at as a gem. There just weren't many of those races, maybe half a dozen total, where you had Pastrana on a 250 battling for wins. He famously made a mistake, moved over, tried to block Ricky Carmichael, fell down. Carmichael then had to deal with all sorts of boos from the fans, and there was Vuillemin waiting behind them the whole time. And then with a lap to go, he slickly made a move on the inside, passed Carmichael for the lead, and you would swear that Vuillemin was Jesus, because the fact that he beat the guy who, as far as the crowd was concerned, knocked Pastrana down. They thought Carmichael did it. It was really Pastrana's fault, but whatever. Pastrana was really popular back then, as he is now. Vuillemin beat Carmichael. They were mad at Carmichael. It was unbelievable how excited that crowd was. That's also how good Vuillemin was. Nowadays, the Frenchman is working with 2 Frenchmen, Dylan Ferrandis and Marvin Musquin, who both won the races at Seattle over the weekend. So while Marvin and Dylan were there in the press conference, I skipped them and I said, I want to talk to you because Vuillemin is one of the most outspoken and least filtered ex-racers in the pits. He will tell you exactly what he thinks, even if it's his own riders. I think DV was actually really disappointed this weekend that Chad Reed and Justin Brayton were maybe the 2 best guys in the whoops. And by the way, Chris Bloss, really good in the whoops in the 250 class. He's not happy that the old guys are better than the new guys in whoops. So I'm just giving you an idea that he's very opinionated. You'll hear more about that in the interview. I'll follow the Vuillemin interview up with an interview with Johan Thiel, who is the CEO of MIPS. MIPS, or Multi-Directional Impact Protection System, is actually a product that's being used in a lot of helmets these days, both motocross helmets and bicycle helmets and a lot of others. And it's not just exclusive to any helmet brand. A lot of the motocross helmets now come equipped with MIPS. And a conversation with the CEO, it's cool to learn about the product, but you'll also learn a little bit more about concussions and what the industry in general is doing to help lessen the severity of those. But if you do have a headache, I recommend therapy. Listen to these soothing sounds. Podcast. 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 Podcast, 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 podcast. Yeah, you probably need a multi-directional impact protection system of your own after that. A couple other things I want to mention here. We're bringing our live shows back. I'd already mentioned we're going to do another live show before the Denver Supercross, coincidentally in Denver, the night before the Denver Supercross, but we have now added them before the New Jersey Supercross and Vegas. So hang out with us in Denver Friday, April 12th at the Oriental Theater, and hang with us in New Jersey Friday, April 26th, the Loft at Riverside Manor, and hang with us in Vegas Friday, May 3rd at the Space in Las Vegas, Nevada. You can go to racerxonline.com, and we've got the news about these stickied. Myself, Jason Thomas, Chris Kiefer, and of course Steve Mathis will be rapping, talking racing. We'll take your questions. We're going to have a lot of cool guests. I'm working on the New Jerseyest of New Jersey guest for New Jersey. That should be superb. And we're happy to do it 3 races at the end of the season because these have been well received. We did one in Vegas last year and one in Anaheim, one this year. So come on out, meet and greet, hang out with us in person, ask questions, talk trash. It's going to be awesome. And I also want to plug the new issue of Racer X Illustrated. Look, we're only going to give away the revamped digital issue for free for a limited time only, a month or 2. I think the next issue will do it. We're only supposed to do it for the issue that's out now and the one previous. We'll maybe do one more, or this could be it. You might have to subscribe to ever see it again. Now, I encourage you to subscribe, but I do encourage anything free, and right now you can try it for free. So go to digital.racerxonline right now. You can read my Cooper Webb story that's in the current issue. You can read Davey Coombs' story on Lime and CBD and Supercross. You can read a Ping story with Jeff Emig about life after being in the TV booth. There's a lot of great stuff in every issue of Racer X, and now you can see it with a new digital edition that actually looks good. It especially looks good on a phone. It's designed to scroll up and down vertically like you would do on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or all those things you can't put down. Now the magazine looks that way. And we work really hard on this stinking magazine, so read it. It's free right now. digital.racerxonline.com. Also, shout out to Supercross Futures. More events coming up. Houston, Nashville, Denver, and Vegas, with another event in October in Vegas that will crown AMA national champions. Go to supercrosslive.com/supercross-futures, or just look for the SX Futures link in the upper right of the supercrosslive.com page. Classes for everyone from kids to aspiring pros to old guys who just want to say they rode in these stadiums on these tracks. Supercross Futures, it's coming to a city near you, and you should go race it. Why? Because you'll have more ammo the next time you're battling in the comment section of the Racer X Online site or on social media. Do you ever notice anytime there's an argument, there's always the assumption, well, dude, you mustn't even race, because it would be obvious, even though there's a good chance the argument is between two people who have raced the exact same amount. Just instantly, that's the line in the sand. Clearly, if you think that was a block pass, you mustn't race. Or if you think that wasn't a block pass, you mustn't race, like I do. That always gets brought up. Now, look, my next guest on the show here, David Vuillemin, could use that all the time. He could talk about the races he won and who he beat and the many, many years of being a factory rider for Yamaha, then Suzuki toward the end. He could talk about all that. But honestly, you don't hear David Vuillemin, for how as outspoken as he is, I don't often hear him bragging about himself. And as you'll see in this interview, he wasn't even pumped on his own, which I thought was cool and unique, Le Cobra riding style in his early years. But that's about the only thing he doesn't harp on. There are certain points that he is very adamant about, he is very outspoken about, and you'll find out in this interview that I did in the press conference after the 2 riders he works with, Dylan Ferrandis and Marvin Musquin, won both classes of the Seattle Supercross. Here's David Vuillemin.
Okay, you're still working with both of these guys, right?
Yeah.
They're still your guys.
Why,
I just
is
want
there a
to check
rumor
in.
that
No,
I'm
that is not a rumor. But I never know in this game.
No, I've been working with Dylan since it'll be 2 years at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. And Marvin since November.
Yep.
You know, we talked for a while, and then it was more complicated to do a deal with Marvin.
Yeah.
Because Aldon and KTM, it's
right.
I have Yamaha with the star guys, and I have more freedom.
Yeah.
But it's two different, same job, but two different role.
Yeah. It's funny because people are like, well, they're all French guys. But honestly, did you even know Marvin that well? It's not like you're at every race, and you didn't race together or anything like that. How well did you know him?
He was a fan.
Okay.
I've known him since 2000, 19 years. So
yeah.
He was in the opening ceremony at Berkeley Supercross.
Okay.
And then his mom asked for my jersey for 3 days in a row. It was 3 days of racing.
And you remember this?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I know the parents. I know his brother.
Okay.
And I've known Dylan. I have a photo with Dylan. He's 4 years old. It's on my phone. I'll show you. It was a race 20 years ago. Him and his brother taking a picture with me at a French race. They were like fans. Dylan and Marvin, they were friends like from when they were.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What took so long then? Did you ever reach out to Marvin? Did you ever reach out to you until now?
No, I don't reach out to anyone.
I see.
I never, since I retired in 2009, the racing, I never called anyone for a job.
I see. Yeah.
I don't want to work.
I know.
I'm
Do you
retired.
have to work?
No, I don't.
I like that. Okay.
I don't have to work, and then I don't look for work. So I never called anyone.
I see.
So Dylan, during his rookie season, so that was not 18 to 17.
Yeah.
During nationals, he was kind of struggling about how to set up his bike. He don't really know, and then so he asked me to come practice and just look at him, and it took a while. He did not call me right away.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked with Swanee, but he wanted more like a technical type help at first.
Mm-hmm.
And it was after Tennessee 2 years ago. And so we started a little bit, just like a free. I'm like, I don't need money. I just come help you out, check, and then I'll give you kind of like an audit, you know?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
And then I kind of look the whole picture and then look what he was doing, like training wise, and he asked me about the training and said, "Oh, we do this. What do you think?" But mainly like the first thing was to get him comfortable on the bike, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there and then we kind of tried a few things. I gave some ideas and we got going like that. And then with Marv, the same thing. He came here at the end of 2010. But you know, Marvin's always invited to my kid's birthday. He shows up. We like friendly, but I never went to him and say, "Hey, I can help you," or just hire me. You know?
Right.
I didn't go because I kind of enjoy being home. But when you ask me, you know, I turned down a lot of jobs. You know, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Savachi called me, and then there's the other guys that called me. And when sometimes not the right timing and not a good fit, you know. I worked with Christian Craig. It was, you know, didn't really work out. We're still friendly, but it wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
Finally, Marvin, during Supercross last year, we kind of talked and said, "Oh, like some help," and I gave him a few pointers here and there, but nothing official, you know.
Yeah.
And during outdoors, he started like talking to me a little bit more, wanting to just do like the riding technique type of deal, like what he could. That's something that he felt like he needed.
Yeah.
That he wasn't getting. So I just do that, just do bike technique and, you know, lines, nothing about, you know, I actually, when I work during the week with Marvin, I work around the album schedule.
Yeah.
You know? He needs to do whatever album, the volume album asks him to do.
Right.
And I just walk in between. So it's a way different. And Dylan, I'm like, do everything, you know, like I have the freedom of picking tires and picking what to do on the suspension, and
I see.
I do his training. I do the training side.
Yeah.
When he runs, I bicycle behind him. We go to the gym together. You know, I'm pretty much every time he rides, I'm there. So, if I do a job, I want to do it good.
Yeah.
So I'm all in with him, and then but now with Marvin, I went to Florida. Spent a couple weeks in Florida. But yeah, it's busy time for me.
You're even doing some of the training here. I mean, you're looking fitter. Is that part of it?
Yeah, I lost 45 pounds. So yeah, one day, funny story. Just, you know, I'm thinking, well, I didn't do anything, and one day I just get out of the shower, look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I gotta do something.
Okay.
So it was the end of August. And I didn't go to Indiana, and I was working with them, and I didn't go to Indiana, and I said, "Oh, okay, I'm starting this diet." So I did my own thing, my own program, and in 4 months I lost 45, and then since the end of the year, I'm just like pretty much right there now. I don't gain. I start eating a little bit more normal food and stuff. So
you're not trying to lose more at this point.
I could lose another, 5-10 pounds if I wanted to, but I don't want to go. I don't want to be a gym rat either.
Yeah.
I want to have a life. I'm so busy with those guys, so I want to enjoy my life. When I've been traveling all the races, but one this year. So it's tough.
What did these guys need? What did they need to do to finally break through? Like Marvin finally got it last week, and this week he finally got one here. Is it just circumstances came together, like good starts, or are there things you've been working on to get to this point?
Then riders need to have somebody on their asses all the time.
Okay.
To always be like to do the thing correctly.
Yeah.
Always be reminded of what to do, how to do, what to put your wheels, and and I really love strategy, and so strategy is also something I'm pushing. How to deal with events, whatever they are. Try to do scenarios and then trying to work
It's
on
even
this.
in race stuff.
Yeah. So work on strategy and work on, but really to if you look at Marvin, he was almost flawless tonight. Like this is what I'm looking for. I want you to look at Marvin ride and say, oh, he doesn't ride that fast today. But you look at the lap time, he's on the top of the board.
That's the goal, actually.
That's my goal.
Right. To make it look easier than it is.
Yeah, effortless, like, and when you see all the guys, you see they're going fast. But there's so much stuff that they don't need to do. Like, so in French we say there's they ride fast, they ride close to Marvin, close to Dylan, someone say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of waste in their riding.
Okay.
And I don't want waste. I want efficiency all the time, and that's what I'm on the ass always.
What's funny about hearing some of this stuff is, first of all, you at one time were the Cobra, and a lot of that went away. Like you moved around a lot, and then that went away. So is that something you learned yourself to be more efficient?
Yeah,
Nobody worked the body English more than you, and then 5 years later you weren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, because I hated my style, but that's the way I was.
Yeah.
I hated all the pictures I see on the magazine, and I never really sometimes I watch the races, and then sometimes my kids say, "Oh, let's watch the race. Have you done?" I'm like, So I pick up a race on YouTube, and I look at myself. I'm like, I did some cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I hated myself. I wish I was Lasker Wyndham. Like riding
the effortless.
style.
Yes.
Yeah, like I really like those guys. Way better style than me. But I want to.
But it looked like it was something you changed. You worked on it.
Yeah, obviously, yes. But that's the waste I'm talking about. There's a lot of stuff that you don't need to do to go fast,
Right.
and then even if you don't do them, and then you be more precise, it goes as fast. So just to make them understand about efficiency, like it's very important to me.
And also interesting, you admit, like you're hard ass on these guys. You don't let up, you don't relent, you don't deal with excuses, and you admit that wasn't even necessarily your style as a racer. You're saying, do as I say, not as I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I show them, today on track walk, on that big rhythm section after the sign, I'm like, here you have to do 2, 4, 3. That's it. Oh, not possible. Marvin did it the first lap of the main. I'm like, dude, it take you all day to do this. It's easy, and then you did it perfect. Kenny didn't do it. Same thing with Dylan. He did it the last lap of the E-race, or one lap in the E-race. He did that quad.
Yep.
I'm like, guys, come on. I know you want to keep it for the main, but keeping it for the main, it's a saying. You gotta do it, open it before.
Yeah.
In practice, or last lap, just do it, or even in races. But it's tough to open something in race. I've done it before. It's not comfortable. It's sketch.
Yeah.
Even if it's only an e-race, I've done it many times. I hated it. So I'm trying to tell them, and I will never say do something that I feel is sketchy or dangerous, or
You know the difference. Yeah.
if I say go for it,
Yeah.
it's 100% easy.
Okay.
Like it's, and obviously it was easy because
We too loud? Are we too loud? Can you hear us?
it was obviously easy because Dylan did it every lap, even on 250. He's like, can I do it on 250? I'm like, yes, you come in, you have so much momentum. It's like at Canada it was like 23 meters, 23 steps. That's what I do. So 23 steps, it'd be like 70 feet. So 70 feet coming from like a long double like that, and then in a G out, that pops you out. I'm like, dude, that's nothing. 70 feet is a triple.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then you're carrying so much speed. It's easy. And I told them, and then they finally did it. And now I'm happy about it. But in a way, I'm really happy about Marvin's riding. He was great, effortless. He looked slow, but he was like pulling away. That's what I want. That's my view of Supercross. It's clean, precise, fast.
No 2099 Cobra. I thought it looked cool, but it was a lot of extra movement.
No revs, no clutch, no rear brake. You know, like very. And I think that's, you know, with those bikes that they have, I think that's the way you do it.
Let's talk about whoops. I know you're like, you can skim whoops. You've shown people how to skim whoops. You skim whoops in your sneakers and a baseball hat. I think one time, Marv's a great at jumping. We were all like, oh, he hooks up a DV. That's what they're working on. Is that really specifically what you're working on, skimming whoops, or is it that's just one of many?
No, it's not. It's not really. Yes, obviously I give my input and I give him advice, and then we worked on technique. I thought today when he was skimming, it was actually not too bad. It was compared to if it was last year, I think it would have been terrible. Some races were like horrendous last couple of years, like he did. But I think I see him with like a decent whoops the last few weeks, you know, and then. It looks pretty decent, like not like Brayton good or really good, but up there, you know. So it's fine, and then you know.
But you're not super angry when he jumps.
If it makes sense, you know. Today it made sense to jump, you know, like East Coast when it's rutted, it makes sense. Baguette makes it work, and last weekend skimming. Sometimes it's like 6 on one side, half a dozen on the other.
Right.
You know, like sometimes I'm a believer. I jumped whoops better than anybody else back in the day. I won Phoenix Supercross in 125 because I was jumping whoops the right way. Okay. But skimming will always be faster.
Okay.
And today, what I see, I think riders. I don't know if it's bike setup, I don't know if it's tires, I don't know if it's technique. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. Today, the best in the whoops was Reedy.
I know. I saw you tweet that. 37-year-old was the best in the whoops.
That's not normal. It means the other guys are not good enough. Doesn't matter what bike you're riding or what tires you're riding. Just this fact, a 37-year-old that's way past his prime. Still a great rider, but nowhere near his prime.
Yeah, I mean, you used to race with him.
Yeah.
You've been retired for a long time.
Yeah. Like his prime would be, you know, riding with Marvin right now. Even his speed back in the day, you know, he'd be right there. That's not normal. That's it. There's a red flag somewhere. It's either. And I think it goes where I was scared to go practice at a Yamaha track back in the day because the shit was gnarly. It was never prepped. Whoops were huge. Cupped out, you know. Now you go to tracks every Monday is brand new. I could miss whoops in my tennis shoes still, and I'm like, what do you gain? They do laps, they do the same thing. They become very robotic. And every time there's a big challenge, like something that they're not used to, either a lot of ruts or tough whoops. Even the quads here, we have the best in the world. How many people went 2, 3, 3, 1 before the whoops? Bubba would have done it on the 125.
That too. Yeah, I know.
And I'm 100%
you think they could
sure.
have tripled onto that table?
I think yes.
Yeah. On 125.
I think Bob, a guy like insane like Bob, it's something like, you know. Even Ricky when he saw Bob, he was going for it.
Right.
You know, and Reedy and all those guys, you know, those big girls like 06, 07 or whatever it was. Yes, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, really. Those are easy. When you see those guys do it, it's like effortless. It's like as soon as you do it, you saw Wilson do it, Marvin do it.
Sketch.
There's nothing. I've seen way sketchier things back in the day where like nose high and then just like clip it, like pull everything. I almost pull the balls off the fucking triple clamps because you're pulling so much.
Yeah.
But here's like, there's nothing. Like, just have to go for it, you know? And I'm kind of like, so this and the wolves, I'm like, I don't know, they need to step it up, technically, I think.
Would you have benefited from you? Would you benefit? And you worked with a lot of guys. Do you wish you had you around?
Yeah, I had kind of like me, but I think I'm getting better now. I'm getting better at picking this up, and it's weird because everybody works with videos and then like you can put two riders on the same screen and stuff.
Yep.
And it's funny because most of the time because Marvin uses that, not Dylan. They don't have the software, but when I tell Marvin somewhere, I'm like, this line, great. This, great. Here, not good. We watch the software.
Yeah.
And it's exactly, I'm like, and I told them every week, see, I don't need that software. It's right here.
You just know. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I take splits, and then, I'm interested in the quality stuff, always raw speed, and like to use the most potential of your technique when you ride a dirt bike. That's my goal, and I think that's the way to ride Supercross and to be the most consistent. It's not about pinning it and this and go for it and don't give up and no pain, no gain. I hate the saying by the way.
Okay.
But, it's more like I'm more of a Brad Pitt in Moneyball, kind of.
Okay. He's smart.
Just
smart about it.
Yeah, the smart way, smart way, not the hard way. It's kind of like the simple way, and then the most the thing that makes the most sense, kind of,
Well, I also like that you're not one that's just like, hey man, everybody's so good these days and they're all about the same, so if you don't get a start, there's nothing you can do. Like, you're seeing all these areas where gains can be made. You're not like, no, what can you do? Everybody's maxed. No.
The race is 27 laps or something.
I know.
And
they don't finish right on each other.
Yeah.
They gain and lose tons.
Yeah, I don't like when, I need a good stop. Because the thing is, you guys, media, it's very, all the riders say, I got a good start. Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's so much in everybody's head, all the mechanics, all the team manager. You got to get a good start. You got to get a good start. And at one point, it's a reverse psychology. When the rider doesn't get a good start, he says, fuck, I can't win.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Because he's heard 900 times.
If you don't start, you can't win.
Right.
No.
Yep.
Watch Damon Bradshaw, Miami 88 or 89. 89.
Yes, 89. Sand race. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that race. You can crash 3 times and win a race. Mm-hmm. Watch Bubba at Butts Creek 03.
Yeah.
You can crash on the start and win by a minute.
Yeah.
If you're good and better than the others, you can. And there is really a lot of room technically today to make the difference. If you use your technique and then you're smart about it, I think there's room for improvement in a lot of the guys. And then if you're smart about it, you can still win. I thought Marvin could have won Oakland. He crashed, didn't get a great start.
Came back.
Dylan could have won Oakland, started 12th first lap, finished like close to Adam. A few mistakes here and there. Even with that type of start, if you better than everybody else, have you seen Ricky start 12 and finish 12? No.
Right.
Have you seen Bubba start 8, finish in 8? No, I mean start 8, finish 22nd and crash and
right. But he never does
burn.
Move up.
Yeah, but he was in 3 turns. He was in the front.
Right. And you see those areas where you can make up that ground in 21 minutes.
Yeah. There's 1 second. I'm almost done.
We'll be done.
Yeah, that's what I like to work on. It's a different approach than anybody else, but I think we need to improve. We're so back. If you're a fan of a lot of sports and then stats and then strategy and then the guys, you have like the offensive coach, defensive coach, this and that. There's so much going on in all the sports. Stats, data, and all that. And here we are like...
Oh, dude, Stone Ages.
Yeah, very.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a different approach to it that's, that needs to be done if we don't want to be the same,
Okay, so that's Vuillemin. And I just like that he focuses on riding better, because we always go back to those same cliches, confidence, momentum, starts, all that stuff. And look, by the end of the night, somebody usually has a huge gap over somebody else. It's not like these guys actually go the exact same speed, even though we hear over and over, all the riders can do the same stuff. It just comes down to mental, or it comes down to starts. Vuillemin believes it actually comes down to the athlete performing as an athlete, like doing the athletic things. And I enjoy that because, look, man, when you watch them break down NFL games or NBA games or any other sport, and that's kind of what DV is alluding to here, they do not say the difference between the team that wins and loses is mental. They actually talk about like plays and strategy and the way the games actually went. So when I wrapped this interview with Vuillemin, I said, hey, man, I like the focus on the riding. Otherwise, we just talk about stuff like confidence and momentum, which is hard to understand because no one can see it. And then he just turned to me and said, no, I do not like talking about the mental. It is not all mental. It is not all mental. Yeah, the athlete performs better. In basketball, someone can dribble better or shoot better or pass better. It's not all mental. Sometimes there's skills involved. So that's what I like about the always outspoken David Vuillemin. Okay, let me give another pump to our sponsors here. Of course, Yoshimura, 65 years of four-stroke research and development. Check them out at yoshimura-rd.com. Go to digital.racerx online to view our latest 2 issues of the magazine for free in the all-new digital format that looks just like other user-proven popular things on the internet. It vertically scrolls just like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. They are addictive. They are addicting. We hope that the magazine now is as well. So go to digital.racerxonline.com and check out the issues right now. Now, speaking of issues, a huge one in this sport. Man, that was a great transition, wasn't it? I just literally made that up on the fly. A huge one in this sport and any sport, the issue of concussions. There is a lot of new technology in helmets, thankfully, in motocross to try to prevent concussions or at least reduce the severity of them. And one of the most popular, actually, is MIPS because it's licensed out and used in a lot of different helmet brands. MIPS does not make a helmet. They make something that goes in helmets produced by Answer, Alpine Stars, Bell, Fly, Fox, Moose Racing, MSR, Thor, and Troy Lee Designs. They all offer helmets, motocross helmets, and also some of the bicycle and mountain bike helmets that use the MIPS system. And what that is a liner in the helmet that allows the helmet to rotate just in a way that will reduce some of the rotational effects of a crash. You would think that concussions and head impacts are all about that blunt force trauma, but it actually works where the brain rotating and the head rotating actually causes some of the concussion damage as well. And MIPS is designed to not eliminate that, obviously, but certainly lessen the severity. So now we're going to get all high-minded and talk to a CEO who's talking about doctors and medical studies and all these things. I just think it's a cool topic that we don't get in depth with in this sport enough. So enjoy this conversation with the CEO of MIPS, Johan Thiel. And what's interesting is this did not actually come from someone who was participating in the sports where MIPS can be applied. It was actually, you're saying, from a doctor who was just confused as to why some of these injuries were happening.
Yeah, correct. It really comes from that brain surgeon, Dr. Hans von Holst. He's been a neurosurgeon, having patients on his table, and basically helping fixing them up, repairing brains.
Yep.
But then starting to wonder how come the patients I have, some of them have helmets on their heads. You see basically no marks on the helmets. You have no skull fractures, and still there is severe brain damage. So that's where it all started. And some sort of him trying to find out, dig into the problem, looking into how the helmets were tested, and then concluded that helmets are tested by just dropping them straight down to a flat surface. And my patients, they are falling with speed and having an angle towards the ground, and come to sudden stop. Something happens here. I need to kind of find further facts and trying to understand what happens. So that's how it all began.
Yeah, so the thing that you would believe on the outside is that you fall straight to the ground, and the more padding you can have inside that helmet, the better your chances of not incurring a huge injury. But what you figured out, or I guess what he started to figure out, was there's a rotation component that's a huge part. It's not just being dropped straight down. It's things twisting are a big problem.
Yeah, correct, exactly. And I have to say that the helmets as such are making a really good job on saving your skull and your head.
Yeah.
So you need that padding as well.
Yep.
But that rotational components has not been taken in consideration when it comes to helmet constructions. And that's where, and what he did, he came from the medical side. He didn't really understand how the biomechanics in a brain functioned and actioned. So he connected with the Royal Institute of Technology, with the biomechanical side of them. So basically, coming from a medical perspective, involving biomechanical perspective, understanding how the brain reacted, that's how they saw the effects and how the brain actually sort of absorbed the energy, so sort of a light in the tunnel for him was I can see a way to prevent or minimize or at least reduce the risks of brain injury by mimicking how the brain is basically floating inside your skull.
So is that how this product, what MIPS does? It's trying to mimic the same way that the brain almost tries to compensate in its own way, just in a higher end.
Yes, I would say that, because it's that's how if you just nod your head towards your chest, your brain will move 10 millimeters inside your skull.
Okay.
So it's sort of beneath the skull. There's the dura mater, and underneath the dura mater you have the cerebrospinal fluid, where you could basically say that the brain sort of floats. Yeah. It's connected by bridged veins that sort of make sure that it has blood and oxygen and make the whole thing work. Mm-hmm. But it floats in there, and it enables the brain to move. So if you sort of trip and fall and hit your head in the ground, it actually moves a bit and compensates for that energy. But introducing higher speeds, we are not built to cope with that. So they just, or more or less, just biomimicked, creating a low friction layer that allows for a relative motion between the head and the helmet. And by that, instead of coming to a sudden stop and energy needs to go somewhere, and then they being absorbed by the brain, instead of having that sudden stop, we slide and travel a bit inside the helmet, 10 to 50 millimeters. We travel that distance, redirecting the energy, so the brain avoids to absorb that.
So that's okay. Yeah. And it's MIPS is essentially a piece or a part within an existing helmet, right? It's something that can be added in. Obviously, you're doing it when the helmet is being built on the assembly line, but it's an additional part, right?
Yeah, correct. That's true. It's a. I would use it as a technology. You can integrate it in different ways.
Yep.
So it's a cooperation together with the brands. Where we try to help out integrated technology as clever as possible.
Yep.
And then we make sure that we test it and make sure that it actually makes a difference in that particular helmet, so it performs.
One of the things, especially in the motocross side, that the helmet companies are fighting is there's different levels of impact. There's low speed and high speed. For street bikes, you're pretty much always hitting high speed. With motocross, it could be high or low, and it's hard to get a helmet that's good at both. But does MIPS really impact that either way? Does it provide a negative or a positive either way, or it's a totally different type of thing?
Yeah, we haven't seen it being sort of bringing in a negative performance into bringing in MIPS. Yep. And I would say you have certain helmet brands are looking into it, I think, and addressing low speed, high speeds, so the higher and lower impact. They usually do that by adding or working with different densities in the shock absorbing materials, so the foams, the EPS, EPO, EPPs. They do a really good job on addressing it and working with the densities to help the users get a really safe helmet. MIPS is sort of on top of that, focusing on the rotational aspect. So it's all those combinations of a smart configuration of the helmet. including the shell and the design, etc. That sort of sets the holistic view of a safe or protective gear that you should get.
Right. Okay. So you'll have a helmet that's trying to be good at both high and low speed, and then you add MIPS for the rotational part, and you get a good all-around system.
That's how I would see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what's interesting is MIPS, even though you are a brand and a company, it's in, I don't know, what is like a dozen different motocross brands of helmets. So that's weird. Like normally these people are proprietary, and I know in this sport usually they think every company thinks they're the smart ones, and everyone else is an idiot.
Yeah.
but in this case, they're like, okay, this is cool. Most of them are using this.
Yeah, and I think that the reason why I think they make room for us or let us be part of their helmets is because of the science behind it. It's we spent more than 20 years of research and science looking into how the brain reacts and trying to help out prevent and reduce the risks of injury by adding protection. And all our efforts are put into knowing and learning more about the brain, and then we try to find technologies to prevent that. And those technologies and those ways we find, we sort of make that accessible to all other brands. So I think that the reason why it's has been sort of spread amongst all the bigger brands is because they see it's important, they care about the riders, they want them to be out there to perform, and this is a way to add a certain amount of protection in certain types of impacts, and we sort of stand by and support them with the science and the insight of how it works.
Yeah. Can you actually see MIPS in a helmet? Is it like a item you can actually? I have helmets that are MIPS, and I know they're MIPS, but I've never investigated the inside to know. Is there a part you can see, or how does that actually work?
Yeah, in most of the helmets in the market right now, if you look at the MX helmets that you find, you will usually find a thin yellow plastic liner, a low friction liner, as we call them.
Right.
Those are the most commonly used at the what you find in the market right now. In the recent year, we have also looked into a more of a fabric-based, a textile-based solution that you could be more integrated into the padding. So it will become sort of more and more invisible, more built-in, integrated into the helmet. So you will find that you will see a sticker on the helmet. You will find a layer inside with a logo and a hologram sticker, sort of giving some or the sensor, what do you call that? Sorry, the
indicator that it's
that's a true thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I have it. My mountain bike helmet, the inside is yellow, I guess because of that, and I have a fly racing motocross helmet that has it, and I know Alpine Stars has integrated it into their helmet, which is pretty popular item because it's their first motocross helmet. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are you able to? It's already in a lot of these products, and it's already well established. But are there still gains to be made? You mentioned this fabric potential change. Is it something you can even improve further as technology gets better?
Yeah, and that's quite interesting. It's not really to create a safer or higher performance in the safety sector. We actually see that the products we work with are more or less equally safe. What we do see, and we are looking further into, is to sort of an evolutionary step in the technology where we more look at how it could be integrated more seamlessly into the helmet. So looking into how it could be added into the paddings or built into the helmet, and so just make sure that the technology is there to add the protection side, but also making it more even less sort of as an add-on to it. The history is sort of also come from where helmets were in the market, and for us to become something that is used, we had to retrofit existing models.
Right.
And the easiest way to do that was to place it on the inside, as you see in most helmets. It's a very good way of doing it. It's a very good way of having the technology perform. But we also can see ways of integrating into the padding and making it sort of more integrated within the helmet in that sense. So I think you can expect to see that in the coming products and launches with the helmets in the market.
One thing I've noticed is when you look at because you can retrofit it in, you can look at a helmet, say, on a website, and it's like they have a lower end model without MIPS, and then there's a model with MIPS. It's sometimes a little more expensive than their lowest end model, but it's not like a massive like $500 increase.
No,
To
exactly.
add this.
That's correct, and I think that's and it's up to each brand, of course, to price their products. As you mentioned, it's not a huge increase. It's I think you usually see an increase between I would say $20 up to $40 on top, but it's and it's I would say that's well worth the money to reduce the risk of a brain injury, and it's about protecting you as your rider. It's protecting your family and your memories, and just having that being sort of in a safer place, I think that's worth those extra dollars.
One of the toughest things for safety gear, especially in the motorcycle world, where there's so many variances and so many hard things to pinpoint, is how do you test and how do you prove and how do you show we know this really works? So how have you guys been able to do that? And yesterday you told me about actually deconstructing a crash and an injury with a motocross rider and laying it out. So how are you able to actually replicate these types of things?
Yeah, we are again being based in science. There is a very thorough academic study before we start experimentally testing it, and when we can prove in experimental tests that the theory is sort of working, then we take that out in a commercial side. In those years and back in those years where they looked into it, there were actually a motocross accident in a race or competition in Sweden, where it was filmed by cameras, so we could triangulate the accident, and therefore we could sort of reconstruct the whole accidents with speeds, with rotations, and angles. So we spent a lot of time reconstructing the accident in computers. We modeled the helmet completely with everything from the shell to the foams and to the structure, and also the fender at the bike that hit the other rider. And then we followed that rider to the hospital, got the CT scans of his brain, and we simulated that in a computer model of the brain, and we used all those computer modelings, reconstructions, and validated that towards the experimental test. And then with that, we also put in the sort of the MIPS technology into the computer model, and which was also then validated, and we could see that the data results, the simulation results, shows or mimics very close to reality what happens on the CT scans. And if we introduce the MIPS technology into that, we could see reductions that should have helped that individual in the crash. And he was put out in Lowing and was in coma for some time. He was coming out okay, but it was a very severe brain injury, and it could at least have been reduced to extent with the MIPS technology. Where
was the first sport or type of helmet that you folks focused on? Was it motorcycles or was it something totally different?
Yeah, but the whole thing sort of sort of was aimed towards motorcycling. One of the founders, Peter Haldin, he started to ride his bike quite early, and when he was in his program at the university, he started to investigate head injuries and neck injuries, and that's sort of fed the interest, looking at making a computer model of the human neck and to simulate what happens in neck injuries, and then building on that into the head and the brain. So all the early discussions was aimed towards motorcycle helmet brands. We had difficulties to actually sort of break through that, and eventually they said, well, since we can't get any helmet out in the market with the technology, we need to do it ourselves. And one of the first employees, there were only actually two people then, Peter and Pia Melin, she owned horses, and being a horseback rider, she wanted a helmet that she could sort of prove works, and it became an equestrian horseback riding helmet. So that's how it sort of started. But it also ended with more or less of a bankruptcy with that project, and that led in turn, which was pretty lucky, I think, from trying to be a helmet company, with the bankruptcy, being close to bankruptcy, that changed the whole thinking of the business model, and we changed that into an ingredient brand, saying if we want to do this, our target and vision is to save as many people's lives as possible and reduce brain injuries as the most we can. So let's make this technology available for helmet brands out there. We can have conquer the world and be everything in the helmet business. Let's make sure that everyone can access it and help those brands to add protection into the helmets. And that's how we sort of started the journey.
So at one point, the thought was we will have to make our own helmet. And then it became we'll add to other people's helmets. Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, in the United States, the huge focus on brain injuries and concussions comes from American-style football. It's actually, I think, helped other sports like motocross because now everyone that does anything where you can hit your head is extra concerned because it is on the news constantly with football. Have you been able to get involved with any of those more traditional team sports with this technology? Is that something you looked into?
Yeah, we looked into it, and we find it very interesting to sort of try to be part of it. And it's certainly that whole focus in football really helped us to survive, I would say. Back into 2011, 2012, there was a huge debate. All the articles started to talk about the football players being injured, and they saw the effect of those injuries. And we had an interview from Popular Science. We had an article in Popular Science in December 2012 where the focus was football, and we had at that time made prototypes showing that at least the way we tested it, we could see effects. And since then, we've been trying to address it. We've been working with prototypes in both football and hockey. We even had a helmet in hockey that was launched, but then the brand was bought by another brand, and the project was killed. So we do think we have something to contribute with in that, and we're not giving up. I'm pretty stubborn, so we will continue to work there. But it's true. I think the whole awareness and understanding of how bad it can be by being injured, and it's enough with a light a light concussion. It doesn't need to be severe. You can have personality changes. You can change your life. And I think what we liked and we found remarkably interesting is actually the whole MX circus is something where people are so aware that they're going to crash. They know that. They're extremely aware about protection. So it feels really good to be in that sector and seeing people caring but still doing what they love. So I think it's an interesting happening and change of behaviors if you compare to other sports and other categories.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. Everybody knows it's going to happen. You're going to hit the ground at some point. Yeah, so there's the CEO of MIPS, and I'm glad to give him some time on here. I'm all about trying to apply some science to dirt bike racing and safety technology. We are not a sport that generally anchors itself in science. Look, the technicians that tune motorcycles, they don't have PhDs in engineering. They just know what they're doing because they've been around. And that is basically the tenet that we all go by in this sport. If you've been around, you know what's up. I would like things to become more structured and analytical. That's why I like when Vuillemin says, yeah, it's not just confidence and momentum and starts. There's an actual skilled athletic part of this, if you really break it down, where huge gains can be made. Same thing on the safety gear side. But look, man, you know what it was like when neck braces hit the scene a little over a decade ago. There are people that think they're great. There are people that think they are terrible. And it doesn't matter if you show some scientific studies, then they probably think those studies are bogus. It's really difficult to just have an all-encompassing, yep, science says it's good in this sport. We can't even agree if chest protectors even protect your chest in a crash or your shoulders. I asked tons of people on that very topic last year. No one seems to agree. No one agrees. And then as concussions became a big deal and then helmets improved, anytime a new helmet would come out and say, we've got a formula that we think will make you safer, some people believed it, some people do not. It's just the way it goes around here. So that's difficult. It looks like MIPS has gotten some universal acceptance, probably because they're working with so many brands. It's not MIPS against the world. It's kind of MIPS with the world. So anytime science and safety becomes accepted in dirt bike circles, I'm a fan. So thanks to those guys for giving me some time. And thanks to you for listening. And thanks to Yoshimura for backing this show and for their 65 years of research and development in four-stroke exhaust systems. Check them out, yoshimura-rd.com. And Yoshimura_RD. Check out their Instagram account. 215,000 followers. Wow. A lot better than me. I need them to sponsor me, not me to sponsor them. They really can get the word out. What are they doing messing around with my dumb show? Also, digital.racerxonline.com. Last two issues, which are both in our new digital format, they are free. Normally, you'd have to subscribe to read them. We're going to sucker you in. You're going to be so addicted, so attached, you're going to say, man, what have I been missing? I thought all the stuff in the magazine was on the website. It's not. I have to work 2 jobs at Racer X, and then I got to work like 8 other jobs. That's the way this industry works. Been putting a lot of work into magazine stories for a long time, and y'all probably been missing them. So no excuses anymore. Scroll through it just like you would Instagram, Facebook, and all those other things you're addicted to. That's digital.racerxonline.com. Come see us with our live shows, which is either our latest, greatest thing or maybe the most antiquated technology of all. We'll just talk to you in person. That's even less high-tech than the digital or the magazine. We'll talk to you in person. We'll do it in New Jersey. We'll do it in Denver. We'll do it in Vegas for those 3 Supercross races. Just go to racerxonline.com. We've got a link so you can buy tickets. We will see you there. Thanks for listening to the Racer X Exhaust Podcast presented by Yoshimura.